navigating the world of digital assets, it can feel pretty overwhelming sometimes, can it? Just constant information.
Oh, absolutely. Like trying to find a clear signal in all the noise.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So today we're going to try and cut through some of that. We're looking at one particular asset and some interesting analysis on its potential movement.
Right. We got some expert insights here focusing on some key price levels, sort of markers to watch.
Yeah, and the idea is to break down what these levels could mean, look at the different ways things might play out, give you a clearer picture, hopefully.
Let's do it. So this analysis we're digging into, it really highlights a specific price band for this asset between $2.15 and $2.41.
Okay, $2.15 to $2.41.
Yeah. And what's interesting is the view that anything happening inside that range, it might not be the main event in terms of the bigger trend.
So it's sort of like a holding pattern?
Kind of, yeah.
Well,
Like the asset is maybe building up steam before its next really significant move, either up or down.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What if it breaks upwards? Say it pushes past that $2.41 mark and, stays there.
Well, according to this analysis, a solid move above $2.41 would be a pretty strong positive signal. It suggests the buyers are really stepping up.
Right.
And the analyst gets specific. They mention needing to see the price close above $2.41 for 3 days in a row.
3 days. Okay, so that's the confirmation.
That's what they're pointing to as confirmation of a potential bullish breakout, basically punching through that resistance level with conviction.
Congesting more upside, maybe?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Signaling sustained buying and maybe a continued upward trend.
Gotcha. And flipping that coin, what's the scenario if things head south? What should we watch for on the downside?
So if the price drops below the lower end of that range, below $2.15, that could be the first sign of a potential, downturn.
Okay.
If $2.15 doesn't hold as what we call a support level, where buyers usually step in, then the next level this analysis points to is around $1.90.
$1.90. And is that just another potential floor or?
Well, interestingly, they suggest that $1.90 level might actually be an area where buyers could get interested again. Maybe see it as a better value point to jump back in.
Okay. So even a drop might present a new opportunity down the line, potentially.
Potentially, yes.
So this area in between $2.15 and $2.41, you mentioned it earlier. The analysis called it micro noise. Is that right?
Exactly. That's the term used. It implies these smaller ups and downs within the range might not really tell you where the asset's ultimately headed in the bigger picture.
Like static on the radio. Doesn't change the song.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. It could just be a period of consolidation, buyers and sellers sort of balancing out before a clearer direction emerges.
Makes sense. But even with this focus on the near-term levels and this noise, it sounds like the overall long-term view here is still pretty positive.
That's definitely a key theme in this analysis, yes. Despite the short-term question marks in these specific levels, the analyst maintains a quite an optimistic long-term outlook for this asset. The bigger picture targets they've mentioned suggest they see significant growth potential down the road.
And we're not talking small growth either, are we? I recall seeing some pretty eye-popping numbers mentioned.
Absolutely. There's one scenario they outline that suggests, a potential 15x surge from current levels.
15 times. Wow.
Yeah, potentially taking the price up towards around $27. And there's even another projection tied to retesting a specific long-term market indicator that could possibly push it towards $31.
Those are definitely ambitious targets. Shows real conviction in the long term.
It certainly paints a picture of significant potential upside based on their models.
And it's not just about these immediate price levels, is it? I think there was mention of some broader technical chart patterns playing into this optimism, too.
That's right. They're not just looking at the day-to-day. The analyst pointed out a longer-term pattern, specifically a 6-month candle formation that looks quite similar to one seen way back in 2017.
Oh, interesting. And 2017 was significant, wasn't it?
Very much so. For those who remember, that 2017 pattern came just before a really massive price increase for many assets. So spotting a similar pattern now, well, it adds context.
Yeah, history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes, as they say. So looking maybe a bit more near-term than 2017, but longer than the daily noise, any recent signs supporting this upward potential?
Yes, actually. Based on looking at the recent monthly price candles, there's a view expressed in the analysis that a significant upward move could be brewing.
Okay.
The initial target mentioned in this sort of midterm view is around $17.
$17. Okay, that's still a substantial jump.
It is. And then if the asset manages to break out of what they call established market channels, think of them like long-term trend boundaries, the analysis suggests it could potentially rally much, much higher, maybe even towards $55.
Wow. Okay, so multiple layers of potential upside being discussed here. But it's important, isn't it, to acknowledge that this is one analysis. Others might see things differently.
Oh, absolutely crucial. While this particular take, and maybe others you come across, leans optimistic, you always need to consider different perspectives.
Right.
You'll definitely find other analysts who might argue the asset is, say, overvalued right now, or that wider market factors could be a drag. Getting that balanced view is key.
Definitely. So just to quickly recap the immediate picture then, keep an eye on $2.41 on the upside. A sustained break looks bullish.
Correct. That's the potential breakout signal.
And on the downside, $2.15 is the first key level. A drop below might point towards that $1.90 support area.
Exactly. Those are the near-term boundaries highlighted.
But underlying all that, at least in this view, is this sense of continued long-term optimism. These shorter fluctuations might just be bumps on a much longer road upwards.
That's the essence of the long-term view presented here, yes.
Okay, so considering all these potential price points, the $27, the $55, even the nearer term $17, and knowing that different experts weigh things differently, it really makes you think, doesn't it? What fundamental drivers, what underlying factors do you think will ultimately shape where this asset actually goes? Definitely something to chew on.